Hello, dear listeners, and welcome back to the James Bond Complex podcast, the podcast where we discuss, rejoice, and analyze the James Bond phenomenon in all of its shapes and forms, from Fleming to films, and of course, everything in between. Ooh.
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 Ooh. Oh, there was
Oh.
a fourth voice in there. I'm one of your co-hosts. My name's Edgar.
I'm one of the co-hosts. My name is Matt.
I'm Jason Kim, and we are joined by one of my fellow Michiganders.
Michiganders.
That's right. Bill Koenig. Thanks. Thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks for joining us.
We're honored by your presence, as we always are. You're just far from your first appearance on the show. Just to open the floor here, a little bit of a debriefing. Have you all had a very Bezos week? Has your week been full of Bezos?
I even watched part of Call Me Buana on Amazon Prime last night. The second Eon film, but of course Amazon has been leasing that from MGM. But if all goes to plan, it will soon own it and not have to deal with the lease terms.
Right. But you were mentally getting ready for the big one.
Oh yeah.
Which we will talk about. But just before that, a couple minutes. We're recording this on Friday evening of May 28th. May 28th, in case you don't know, is Ian Fleming's birthday. Today would have been his 113th birthday. He probably looked like a skeleton, but we'd love him anyways.
He's been dead he's been dead longer than he's been alive now, because it's 1964.
That's right. Yeah, I think last year he went past the time of being dead longer than he was alive. But
56, 57. So
I know that sounds ghoulish, but it's
it is. But I mean,
but my stock line about Ian Fleming is he crammed 90 years of living into 56 in a couple of months. So
that's why we bring you on the show, for content like that.
I mean, too bad he never got to see the finished Goldfinger, but whatever.
He never got to see The Man from U.N.C.L.E., which he helped create one character. It's like he would have had if he could have lived a month longer, he would have had a double dip. He could have seen Goldfinger come out, and if somebody could have sent him a copy, because saw the first episode of The Man from U.N.C.L.E., I named that Napoleon Solo guy. Don't know if you knew that.
Yeah, it's because he's on the set of Goldfinger talking, schmoozing with people. She's so close
with Connery and Shirley.
Yep.
Real shame, but no, we celebrate. Well, we the fans, not just the four of us, but the whole Bond fan community celebrated his birthday today, as we should. But there was a bonus that came with it. The Ian Fleming Publications celebrated Ian Fleming's birthday in a very special way. We are getting a new novel. I believe May. I think one of the releases said May of next year.
On the website, there was this kind of faux cover. I mean, it's not the actual cover because they don't have a title yet, but it says coming May 2022. So yeah, a year from now we'll have the third Anthony Horowitz Bond continuation novel.
I still have not read Forever in a Day, but I really did enjoy Trigger Mortis a lot. And apparently this third novel is supposed to be set after Scaramanga's death, but that doesn't necessarily mean prior to events of Spy Love Me, right? Because it's in the novel universe, or correct me if I'm
right. No, that's right. It's I mean, they threw out some teases, but they weren't very specific. But yeah, apparently it's after the events of the Man with the Golden Gun novel, which of course was Fleming's last novel.
And Man with the Golden Gun takes place after the Spy Who Loved Me, because the Spy Who Loved Me takes place in between the first chapter of On Her Majesty's Secret Service and the latter part of Her Majesty's Secret Service. Yeah. As far as I understood, but I might be mistaken.
Well, there was, 3 years ago, there was this guy who did this Twitter account, and I forget the exact name, but it was essentially the literary James Bond if he were on Twitter.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
Yes. and like, okay, there's all this contradictory stuff in the Fleming texts themselves. So it's like he figured out, or at least this is his extrapolation of it, was that like, okay, you have like a couple chapters of Majesties, and then Bond goes off to Canada, and the events of the Spy Who Loved Me novel happen, and then he goes back to Majesties. Like, I don't know if that's really the case, but like, you know, if you've spent that much time researching, it's like my hat's off to you, because like I don't think Fleming thought it through that much.
No, I don't think he did, but it's, and you know, people tend to overcomplicate the things, and I think no, I'm not getting into it. We're going to talk about the novel.
Yeah.
You know, I was expecting, you know, I'm not disappointed. I'm excited actually. New Bond material in this drought that we're living through is always a good thing. But I was hoping for more. I was like, oh, we signed Horowitz for like 3 more books, and just one.
Or another No Time to Die promotional material or so. But I think I think that's kind of getting beat. They're beating a dead horse, or they've beaten the dead horse with that. You know, with the 6 delays or 3 since COVID, 6 total, you know.
And plus, I think that I think when this new book comes out a year from now, I think they've kind of taken the Horowitz approach as far as they can, because Horowitz's first book is like in the middle of Bond's career, you know, takes place after Goldfinger. His second book takes place before Casino Royale. This takes place after the last Fleming novel. Like, you know, what's he going to do for an encore? What 1/3 of the way through, 3/4 of the way through? Like, you know, it's like, and the problem with that approach is like you cram up the timeline. Who knows? But I mean, just I'm more than willing to wait for Horowitz. I do think though that both the literary IFP and Eon have some thinking to do about long-term direction and plans. What's a plan? But but you know what, I don't want to get ahead of myself. It's just, you know, it's
the last time that we revealed I don't remember the last time we gave away the title of the movie.
Stop it. I love you so much. That's the worst part. I love this man so much, and yet it's like, no.
There's a reason they don't have personal Twitter or Instagram accounts, because I think they put their...
Or do they?
Yeah, no.
Well, some of the Fleming nieces do.
Yes.
Oh, really?
Lucy does.
Lucy, but
and then I think her name's I follow her on Instagram actually.
Breaking news. But a couple people, or maybe the same person, came up with a Barbara Broccoli and Michael G. Wilson Twitter account this week. It was pretty funny.
Which apparently just before we started recording, apparently they've been like deleted. Those parody accounts.
Yeah.
Oh man. Somebody told me, like, Bill, you need to start a Michael G. Wilson parody account. I said, no. This is getting away from me. No. Thanks.
What happened to the other one?
It actually, yes, her name is Hum Fleming, by the way, and she lives in England. Or she splits her time between England and Jamaica. To go figure.
I wonder why.
Tough life. But you know, it's an interesting point you make there, Bill, about the similarities, perhaps one dare say the disappointing similarities between the 007 film brand, Dan Jack and all that, and how IFP handles their announcements. In fact, just before we hit, no, you did say that, Matt. Like, you were happy, but you would have liked, well, not only is Horowitz writing a 3rd novel, but he's coming back for 2 more after that, or whatever the case might have been. And no, they don't do that. I'm not. Does anybody here on the show tonight know if they obviously sell well enough, because Horowitz is writing a 3rd one. Otherwise, they wouldn't have called him back. But is maybe the reticence about making long-term novel plans, literary plans, it might have to do with somewhat tepid sales, or sales that don't quite reach what their expectations are. I don't know. I'm just food for thought.
Or maybe a writer's block.
Well, I think in part, you know, they want name authors, because okay, once upon a time, they hired John Gardner, and he did what,
Mm.
14, and he more or less cranked one every year. And then they hired Raymond Benson. He did, I want to say 6, and like he did one a year. And then like, new management came into place, and then they kind of like shut it down for a while. And then they decided instead of doing one a year, we're going to like make them more of events. And they wanted like name authors. So that's how we got Sebastian Fox. That's how we got Jeffrey Deaver. That's how we got, I forget the guy who wrote Solo.
Sebastian Boyd.
William
Yes.
Boyd.
Boyd.
William Boyd. Yeah. So that's how that happened. And then Horowitz clearly struck a chord with the literary Bond audience. And so like, instead of doing one-offs, he was the first one, since they made that change in strategy, to come back. And now he's coming back a second time for a total of 3. And I agree. I like both of the first 2 Horowitzes, and I look forward to this book. But I do kind of wonder about, it's like IFP, Ian Fleming Publications. I think they have this, what, I know a little bit I don't want to talk about, but I don't think they liked, I just think they wanted to make a change. They wanted to kind of like raise it in terms of prestige. And so they got more name authors. But I personally wonder if they kind of hit a dead end. Like once Horowitz, finishes this 3rd book, like I can't imagine it coming back for a 4th. I mean, because Horowitz has his own characters, his own properties, and he's going to get more money from them than he's ever going to get, writing for IFP.
Probably, but I think the fact that he is coming back for a 3rd book clearly clearly denotes that he enjoys writing them quite a bit. And he's a Bond fan. So
well, and remember, there was that one event about a year or 2 ago where they had this debate in London. It was like, who's better, John Le Carré or Ian Fleming? And Horowitz took up the Fleming side, and I forget the guy's name, but he had done he had adapted a Le Carré thing for a TV miniseries on the BBC. He took up the Le Carré side. So like, I mean, clearly Horowitz likes James Bond. There's no question about that.
I'll be the unpopular opinion. I think Le Carré is the better writer.
Sorry, Jason, you're not coming in. You're cutting out a lot. I think we're gonna have to drop the Zoom call. I remember, not for Forever and a Day, but for rigor mortis.
Rigor mortis.
Horowitz participated in some very well staged, relatively speaking, staged promotional videos. They lasted about 2 or 3 minutes, no more than that. And usually featured Horowitz sitting at the bar, I believe a bar either Fleming went to, or he was drinking a beverage that Fleming liked. And he was sort of relating his fact, because it was his first one. Trigger Mortis is the first one. So he relates his fandom, his appreciation as he's in this swanky bar, and he looks very dapper. I remember the marketing, the online content marketing for Trigger Mortis was really cool. Hopefully they'll go back to that. They didn't really play that game for Forever and a Day. Hopefully they'll come back.
Oh, they did Forever and a Day. What a fantastic, yeah.
I mean, I guess social media
007 is dead, sort of placard everywhere. You had
they did, yes, they did.
Animated logos.
That's
I thought
true.
it was fantastic.
True dat.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know what I'm talking about either. All of a sudden, we'll cut that part out. Cut that part out. So, any other thoughts on Fleming? Although we're always talking about Fleming the film and everything in between. What else do we do here? Any other thoughts on this 3rd Horowitz book before we get to the meat?
I just know people looking for it for a long time, and they teased it yesterday, and I mean, it was very clear. What else could it be? So, but like, it was like almost unanimous. Everybody like saying, great, finally, like if anything, the reaction I saw was like, what took you so long? Well, probably because, Anthony Horowitz has other things to do. So probably just get it on his schedule, if nothing else. But no, I suspect a lot of Bond literary fans are really happy right now.
Overjoyed.
I
Go ahead.
I
Mark.
have something that I think I can add to the discussion about sales, because from what I understand, this is purely speculative and sort of based on my own personal impression as a francophone speaker. Often, and I know that for a fact, that a lot of the Gardner books never got translated into French, especially the latter ones. I think all the more recent ones, and I think a few of the novelization have also been translated. I know I saw Forever in a Debt translated to French. So my rule of thumb is that if a book gets a French language translation, it must sell well enough for a publishing company to go into the trouble of translating and reprinting it in French. So
I was about to say, with Gardner, I know like his first 1, 2, maybe 3 were bestsellers. But I think after that, it became kind of routine, so to speak, because I know they weren't bestsellers by the time he was done.
Well, I think when the French literate public read the translation of the hell is that one we love so much for special services? Yeah, when they read for special service, they're like, well, we're not translating these books anymore. We're done with that. A crème glacée, please. Ice cream, please. Yeah, no, we're all very excited. I think everybody here enjoyed. Obviously, Jason, you're saying you didn't read Forever in a Day. Very good read. I think you're gonna like it. I think our review from a couple years ago was, maybe a couple little details don't really corroborate too well with what happens in Casino Royale, but just as a Bond adventure,
as a Bond adventure is fantastic. But as a prequel to Casino Royale, unnecessary and not really. It doesn't blend that well.
I remember reading it thinking like this could just be its own Bond adventure. It doesn't have to be a Casino Royale prequel, but whatever. I still like it. So no, I'm also happy he's coming back for a third. And I was a little confused. I thought the title was Anthony Horowitz. Oh, he's doing such a good job. They just called this next one Anthony Horowitz. Thanks for clarifying, Bill, that it was just a what do they call those things? A
mock-up or something
placeholder.
Like that. Yeah,
placeholder.
Yeah.
It's like, so that pretty much wraps up this debriefing. I don't think
nothing else happened this week.
This week, unless hold on.
Something by that bald-headed guy who headed to big company.
I'm getting a text message. I'm getting a text message from M. White. You're not done yet. Bezos has people everywhere.
No.
Well, technically no, but we'll get to that.
That's why I have Googled.
So essentially, to get the ball rolling here, as of about 48 hours ago, a little more, there is shall we call it a temporary agreement, because regulatory bodies need to approve it to make it official. But at this moment, Amazon and MGM have agreed MGM has agreed to be bought by Amazon for $8.45 billion.
Let's do it.
Well, your Dr. Evil's fantastic. I mean, we could spend the next 15 minutes laughing and just stop laughing and go like, that was funny. That was funny. It was a good time. So, yes, RoboCop and Rocky and Silence of the Lambs and Legally Blonde, all fantastic movies and franchises, but we need to talk about the serious stuff. James Bond, what does this mean? What's going on? No Time to Die. Are we going to wake up tomorrow morning and No Time to Die will be included in our Prime Video subscription? I need explanations. Somebody go get Bill Koenig.
Well, Bill's here.
Thank God.
Well, first of all, I don't think this is going to affect No Time to Die directly, simply because that amount of regulatory review time, I suspect it's going to take a while. I don't know how long, and but I think at least in the US, if not anywhere else, people are like kind of getting tired of Amazon being so big and powerful, and they're going to like want to give this the once over. And so I think it's possible. Let's assume No Time to Die makes its current release date. I think it's possible the deal might not even be completed then. But so anyway, in terms of No Time to Die, I don't think this is going to affect that. I don't think, I don't think No Time to Die. I know No Time to Die is not going to go straight to streaming as a result of this deal. I think I think it's more of a longer term effect, which is hopefully, because MGM bought United Artists, which was Bond's original studio 40 years ago. And it's been like one financial soap opera after another. Hopefully, this is going to lend some stability and at least close that off. Now, does that mean more James Bond movies in the future? We'll see, but I wouldn't count on that, because the whole James Bond thing is like Amazon's not getting complete control. It will have the power of the purse, which is a significant power. But, Danjak and Eon have like creative control and so forth. And so, I mean, it's like the two sides can't make a James Bond movie without the other. It's like MGM can't make Eon produce a film. And at the same time, Eon is not financing movies on their own. They need somebody to provide them the money. It's a kind of weird thing. I mean, whereupon like contrast that with, say, Batman, where like Warner Brothers controls the whole thing, and many other franchises. It's like Disney, Marvel and Disney control Marvel movies pretty much entirely. So it's a different animal, but it is significant that somebody new, assuming this deal gets all the regulatory approval, is going to be in charge of the purse strings for Bond, and it's going to be a big successful company. So hopefully, as I said earlier, some of this nonsense with MGM over the past 40 years goes away.
Which was all started by what's his name? No. It was started by the guy who directed Deer Hunter, who then made Heaven's Gate.
Michael Cimino. Michael Cimino
single-handedly destroyed the entire film studio.
Oops.
Pretty much, because what happened was we don't go out too much in the rabbit hole, but like UA's management got tired of interference from UA was owned by Transamerica, which is this insurance conglomerate, and the management finally threw up its hands and said, we're tired of this, we leave. And so like all these second stringers got promoted, and so like they wanted to show, hey, we deserve to be promoted. But so then they gave the keys to Michael Cimino, who like ran them ragged, and just Michael Cimino really helped run UA into the ground, and then that caused Transamerica said, we're tired of this movie business. Like we'll sell it to MGM.
Funnily enough, another company by nature related to movie business recently just said we're done with the movie business, but that's not that debriefing.
I do want to say, Jason. I do want to add, because like my close cousin of mine, he used to be an antitrust lawyer. He used to be
you're saying that
for one of the big the Magic Circle law firms. I know, kind of like sounds like a specter organization, but that's literally what they call it. It's cool. And then he worked for, I'm not going to say the company, but he worked for a British company within the Magic Circle, and now he currently works for now he's an investigator for the FBI as an attorney. But long story but what I'm trying to say is like he specialized in a lot of like corporate mergers, as well as like antitrust laws, because that's his complete specialty. And I just had a brief chat with him last night, and he said, oh no, and he said 6 months is a very early estimate that it will be, that they'll, like, let's say if like there's like no gaps or no loopholes and whatnot, or there's no shady deals. Like it'll take minimum of 6 months to just review everything.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I can see that just based on my own experience.
I mean, he's done it as a lawyer himself too for several companies, especially during the 2008 financial crisis. That's when his like workload was just off the charts. But he says it's gonna take 6 to 7 months. But
Well,
go
lest
ahead.
we forget that the 20th Century Fox, now known as 20th Century
20th Century
Studios?
Pictures. Yeah.
Pictures. Thank you. That it was sort of announced shortly before a Christmas, and then was like finalized shortly before the next Christmas.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's a bigger deal than this is.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean these things can take a while, can easily take a while. So and again, like I said earlier, I think some people, there was some senator was saying that she was urging the Justice Department in the US to give this like a really close look, because again,
Sure.
Amazon is like really big and really powerful, and like, there are people on like both ends of the political spectrum think that, these tech companies need more regulation. So
Right.
yeah, I mean, and I think we're what, 4 months or so from the release date for No Time to Die.
Just about.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's why I say it's very possible. In fact, I think in fact, listening to Jason, I'm thinking it's like likely that assuming that release date is met, Amazon still won't own MGM at that time.
I do want to add though is as big as Amazon is, and Jeff Bezos just owns straight out everything. I mean, he is by far the richest man in the world right now currently, but
He's a god.
but Amazon doesn't have presence in many countries, much less countries than people assume. There's Amazon Prime, both the shipping and the streaming service is only available in 21 countries around the world. And even though as much as Jeff Bezos wants to be like Elliot Carver, like if the country doesn't let Amazon in, he's not gonna he may want to start a war between countries so that he can get presence into the countries, but
Well,
I like him already.
but the thing is, countries like Sweden and Korea and Singapore, for example, even if Amazon had the power to get into even if those countries let Amazon into those countries, Amazon won't go to those countries because those countries have such a very good delivery service, like next day shipping, like they already had that infrastructure built up before Amazon Prime was a thing, and it has, and those industries have thrived even better during this pandemic. So that's why it's not a smart move, or Jeff Bezos doesn't think it's economical to enter those countries where they're entering the game very late. And it's kind of like when Korea, I don't want to go too much into rabbit hole, but to sum it up, Walmart entered Korea in the early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s, and 2 months into entering Walmart, they failed miserably and had to leave. And the reason why is because the concept of Walmart already exists in Korea in just the local markets. Like it's not a franchise, like just the local markets just sell everything. And the Walmart cultural executives like didn't understand that. So that's why like they didn't really study the local culture enough. So that's why they failed. And that's why Amazon will not go to said countries, because the listed countries I just named already have that infrastructure. And that's why I'm glad that the Universal deal with No Time to Die for international release exists, because like we want Bond to be seen globally, and Universal will come up with the streaming deals for the countries that don't have Amazon. And I'll give you a quick example is I love the show Billions with Damian Lewis, and even though it's a Showtime show, when I was in Korea, I watched that show on Netflix because I don't know how Netflix Korea did the deal, but so that's why I think Universal needs to do Universal's going to spend a lot of time, or whoever the international distributor is, will spend a lot of time coming up with distribution deals for countries that don't have Prime.
And I was about to say that, Disney buying 20th Century Fox was like a bigger, broader deal than this is, because it was like, I want to say it was like $70 billion. It was like,
Oh,
it was like so ridiculously huge. And like you had it's not just the US that had to bless it. There were like many countries had to bless it. And that's part of the reason it took like a year or almost a year. So like so this thing is not as complex. MGM has been more financially challenged than 20th Century Fox was. But it's just, my point is, it's not just gonna be like it's gonna be closed tomorrow. It's like, because it's just not.
This is like Disney buying Marvel and Star Wars at the same time compared to just buying Fox. And I think it's about the same price.
It's a little bit more. It's basically about the amount of those two together. But I mean, but like, Fox and I'm sorry, Marvel and Lucas were, they were essentially production companies. They weren't studios that released their own films. They just it is more akin to that. MGM's a studio, but it was like pretty much the runt of the litter among Hollywood studios.
For a little while now.
I know a lot of my friends try to like send me the links of the news the past few days because they're trying to troll me with trigger me with.
Don't let him get you, Jason. Don't let him get you, Jason.
Me being me, I'm much more well informed than they are, and I was like, I actually think this is a good news because it gives financial stability, like you just said, Bill, and it gives. I mean, whenever the deal completes, it'll give all my favorite MGM films on Prime on 4K quality, so I could watch Raging Bull, Great Escape, Day of the Jackal, Platoon, all at the button of my remote control.
Right. Yeah,
Such
because
power.
Assuming this deal closes, which I think it will. I mean, the current leasing deals that MGM has cut with various streaming services have to run their course before they go exclusively to Amazon Prime. And here's the other thing. I mean, I've seen so much confusion about this. You guys and I have chatted about this, when we weren't recording. I mean, like once upon a time, MGM was like, the premier Hollywood studio. It had the biggest backlot, but it's been in a state of decline for a long time. And it's been bought and sold so many times. And it seems like every time it gets bought and sold, it gets weaker and weaker. And like at one point, Ted Turner bought the studio, bought MGM. He was mostly interested in the MGM film library for programming for his TV channels. But he thought, well, maybe I'll try and run the studio. And then but he had borrowed so much money. It's like, I can't afford all this interest on the debt. So he sells the studio back, but kept the MGM film library. So as a result, he kept, The Wizard of Oz, Gone with the Wind, all these classic MGM films. And then eventually Turner concluded he wasn't big enough to last in all this mergers and acquisitions. So he sold out to Time Warner, which was the parent company of Warner Brothers. So since the late 90s, those classic MGM films have been part of the Warner Brothers film library. And I mean, I keep seeing, it was like Vanity Fair. Vanity Fair is like a big classy magazine, but like, I don't think their online stories are quite done with the same amount of care. Because at one point I saw this week, one of their stories say, and MGM and Amazon's getting the Wizard of Oz. It's like, no, they're not. No.
The devil's often in the details. Like it's funny you bring up the Wizard of Oz, because I remember buying that, I think, a couple of times on Blu-ray, and it's always the Warner Brothers logo that appears on the menu screen. And then I was like, why is the Warner Brothers logo on this? It's not a Warner Brothers movie. But anyways, now we know.
So I had a quick question, Bill. So right now, Rocky, which is an MGM series, it's on HBO Max. So I'm assuming, let's say if all goes well, like will they just let Will Amazon just let the current contract just expire, not renew it, and just take it from HBO, I guess?
Probably, because I mean, here's another thing that like muddies everything up. So like MGM went into bankruptcy in 2010,
Yep.
and when they came out, they had no distribution operation, and so they cut deals kind of like film by film. So like with Creed, that was okay.
Paramount?
So no, when
Warner
they went
Brothers? Warner
to when
Brothers, huh?
that was with Warner Brothers. So it's like, okay, MGM, like we own Rocky and anything that comes out of Rocky, but we can't distribute it. So they cut a deal with Warner Brothers. So that's how Creed got put out by Warner Brothers. So I mean, go back. I mean, putting this to Bond. So of course, after 2010, you had Sony was putting out Skyfall and Spectre, and in that case, the deal was Sony also like provided half the production budget.
That's amazing.
Yeah, but it's like it's just been a mess. I mean, because it's been this patchwork of things, and then bring it to No Time to Die. So like MGM says, well, we should kind of get back into distribution, but they can't do it unilaterally. So they cut a deal with Annapurna, which is this studio. So they form a joint venture and which called United Artists Releasing. So the deal eventually was United Artists Releasing would put out No Time to Die in the US and Canada, elsewhere in North America, while Universal would distribute it internationally. I mean, it's just like, I mean, hopefully this Amazon deal will bring an end to this kind of nonsense, because I mean, it's just so complicated and you just can't keep track of it.
Makes my head hurt.
That's how lawyers keep their jobs, But,
yeah.
But I did want to say just quickly about No Time to Die, because Annapurna United Artists are releasing it. In a quick interview, Cary Fukunaga expressed great enthusiasm that there will be a United Artists logo, like in For Your Eyes Only, from For Your Eyes Only to like Tomorrow Never Dies or World Is Not Enough. And I was like, oh, I like that a director is enthusiastic about like little things like that, because like that's what I used to like look forward to when I watch Bond movies on VHS.
But the thing is, I think he's wrong, because United Artists Releasing puts out both movies for MGM and Annapurna, and my understanding is you see United Artists Releasing logo on the posters, but you don't see it in the theater, at the top of the film.
Shame. So he may be a little disappointed, but we shall see.
Yeah, give him my phone number.
What have they done to my movie? My beautiful movie.
Where's the United Artists Releasing logo? No.
I do remember reading about it's probably 10-15 years ago. I think when you mentioned that MGM was coming out of its most recent bankruptcy filing, that they were going to try and revitalize some of their IPs. And from what I remember, the plan laid out had a few franchises they were mentioning, but the two that I remember was the Red Dawn remake and the RoboCop remake, which they tried to launch franchises but failed miserably.
I didn't think the movie was that bad, but it was fantastic material.
It didn't make money. We're only talking about the finances.
Well, and I was about to say, and also when they were in bankruptcy court in 2010, they put out that's what's called a Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Chapter 11 is, we're going to reorganize things. We intend to, continue as an ongoing company. And so like part of that plan is like, we're going to crank out James Bond movies. We're going to crank them out every 2 years. And it's like, and they put out a schedule, like, Bond, of course it's all by numbers because no titles. So it's like Bond, this is going to come out here, and 2 years later, it's going to be Bond this. And they did like 5 or 6 of them. And it's like, well, yeah, but then like once they were out of bankruptcy court, well, no, forget that. Did we say anything about that? No.
What?
I don't remember.
Ambitious.
I think they had plans to bring back Bond as a summer movie. Like I think Amazon Quantum was supposed to be a
Quantum
summer
was,
release.
yeah,
I think it
Quantum
was, yeah.
yeah, it was.
Quantum was. I know about that when
The writer's strike all happened as well, too.
but even before that, when Casino Royale was like wrapping up production, Sony put out a press release saying, yeah, and the next movie is going to be out on May 2nd of 2008.
I do remember that, Bill. I do.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that would have been less than 2 years. That would have been like a year and a half. And I remember reading that at the time thinking, oh, that's ambitious. And then they later backed off. Well, it'd be more like fall of 2008. But here's the thing. I mean, the law of unintended consequences. When they gave up that May 2nd, 2008 date, that was when Marvel was just starting to make its own movies. And at that point, they were being released by Paramount. They grabbed that date. And the movie they put in was Iron Man, original Iron Man. So it's like that started Marvel off.
Oops.
But guess what? Hey, but to be fair, Quantum of Solace earned more than Iron Man, the first Iron Man did.
Yeah, that's right. Take that, Iron Man. That's right.
And I understand that, but it's like but yeah, just it that gave Marvel kind of the toehold.
Oh,
they then expanded later, but yeah.
Never live with regrets. Never live with regrets.
But and back to the MGM catalog. Sylvester Stallone announced that he's finally finished the Rocky IV direct. He was the director, but the director's cut of Rocky IV.
That would make sense.
That's funny though. Like it's called the director's cut, but
he is the director.
He's the director. So yeah, I don't know what you're gonna call this, but
I mean, Blade Runner 2007 was called the director's cut or the final cut at that point.
Yeah, but that's a notoriously complicated production.
But either way,
Rocky IV, as far as I know, was
that's one of my favorite Rocky films. But I definitely want to see this expanded Rocky IV. I guess more training montages for my Bond 25 fitness challenge inspirations. I heard the one thing he did do was remove Paulie's robot from every scene.
Oh, well, God damn it.
Well, I was going to say also about the, what we now call the MGM Film Library. Like a big chunk is actually the old United Artists Film Library, which of course is Bond, which is the Pink Panther, which is Rocky. But it's also like a lot of prestigious films like In the Heat of the Night, The Magnificent Seven, all this.
Mm-hmm.
But they also picked up the film libraries of various failed companies like American International Pictures, like Orion.
Orion,
yeah.
So did they get Rambo, I guess, because Rambo's Orion.
Yeah. And yeah, because in the last year or so, MGM has established Orion as like, this is our brand. We're going to release our less expensive movies under.
It worked. Bill and Ted 3 was released as an Orion picture, wasn't it?
I think so. Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah.
That was weird. I actually saw that in the cinema. When when we were foolish and not vaccinated and we're going to movies anyways, sitting in the theater going like, what the hell is the Orion logo doing there? What?
Well, yeah, because as part of there's so many legal negotiations. Never Say Never Again eventually came to MGM. It was originally released by Warner Brothers, and this was part of like all this legal wrangling. And so when you see Never Say Never Again now, they slap an Orion logo at the beginning.
Oh, that's why it is.
Right, because it's now MGM property along with the Eon Bond series, and I guess that also applies to the 1967 Casino Royale spoof movie as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And hey, I'm just going to tell Amazon, if you're going to release a Blu-ray set that collects all of the movies, I want my Never Say Never Again. Okay. Yeah. Otherwise, I'm going to do like that woman and sue your ass.
Right. Yeah. Save yourself some legal fights. MGM like went through like, just slap them in. Just put it in the collection.
I mean,
do it.
Speaking of purchasing on Amazon, another good thing, and this will help most of our Bond communities. I was telling Matt Spazer and Peter Booker that let's say an expert, some random Prime member just streams Goldeneye or whatever said Bond movie, and immediately afterwards they'll see their Peter and Matt's book on the suggested list of that, and intended or not, subconsciously people will be like, "Hey, I like." If it was me, I'd be like, "Hey, I like the suit in Skyfall, or no, not Skyfall, but I like Roger Moore's look in Spy Who Loved Me. I'm gonna buy that book so I could, dress like him." And
You know what that means, Bill? That book you were thinking about writing, start cracking. Start working on it right now. So you can make some moolah.
James Bond safari jackets via Amazon.
Yeah.
Be part of the action. It's all going to be on Amazon.
I mean, that's what I'm happy about, because like I don't want to pay any more extortion shipping prices from the 007 store.
Oh my god!
You know what?
$26 for shipping in
really?
Canada.
Yes. I'm glad I
Like
avoided buying from the 007 store.
If I
that's why I
want,
said
those
extortion.
candy bars, $26.
Oh god!
And I don't have my candy bar. I have to pay like another. I think it's $10 on top of it. That's 30.
I know.
What the?
You know what? And I can't help but imagine that some intern at Eon is like, get some Hershey bars and like puts them in new wrapping, and then sends them out to you.
Yeah.
Well,
that's a joke. That's a joke, 007 store, just so you know.
That's funny, but it's a weird store, and with Amazon buying MGM, I don't think it's going to be one of their top priorities, but I can see them incorporating a Bond section on Amazon.
Oh yeah.
Or I mean, I don't see this. Another incorporation is even though they were a major sponsor of No Time to Die, but I don't think they're in any of the product placement. What DHL was, so the company DHL, the shipping logistics up. They provided all the actual logistics for No Time to Die production, and like financing and whatnot. And they came out with a really cool commercial of like them transporting like all the Aston Martin's crew and sets. But we're going to see more commercials like that for Amazon. And Amazon shipping and Bond, like maybe like Bond is shipped, something gets shipped to your house with an Aston Martin DB5 or a jetpack, or I'm just coming up with ideas, Feels like
they're good ideas.
They're good ideas. But I just love the way you said Amazon.
That's right. We're brainstorming here. Yeah.
I mean, whereas like DHL was a direct sponsor of product placement in Mission Impossible 3, so that's why when Tom Cruise is climbing Vatican City, like he's in a DHL truck. But there's no scenes like that in or at least I presume there aren't any scenes like that in No Time to Die.
I haven't seen the movie yet. How do you think they escape Saffin's lair? Maybe it's a DHL truck. We don't know.
It's a DHL plane, but they need to get Halle Berry's phone number again, so they can finally make that Jinx spinoff. They'll have the money to finance it. And while if we're bringing back old attempts by Ian to sort of expand the brand, let's bring back James Bond Jr. I know Bill's gonna be excited.
Well, somebody on James Bond and Friends was that Sean Longmore. He wouldn't shut up about it. We love Sean Longmore. He's a great guy, but he wouldn't shut up about it.
He was definitely an enthusiast about maybe there's a chance to bring back James Bond Jr.
Oh, no, more stuff like that. And what else? I mean, you guys already know about my spin-off ideas. Like I want a prequel miniseries, not like a full Game of Thrones, like 10 years worth of series, but like just one or two seasons of 3 episode seasons, BBC series on like prequels of Elliot Carver, Red Grant, and Max Zorn. Those are the 3 I want.
A cooking show with May. Bond's beloved Scottish housekeeper, as cooking with May. You hire an actress who can cook, and she prepares recipes, and
we need to get Meryl Streep, obviously. But look, it's they're fun ideas. I'd love to see them come to fruition, but I think we're forgetting. And this has also been discussed online and in articles, and I believe it was even touched on the James Bond and Friends episode this week. Is that we're forgetting a pretty important part, which is the creative contractual clauses that award many creative privileges to Danjak
Right.
and Eon. So, and that goes back to one of your earlier points, Bill, about oh, well, maybe there'll be a movie every 2 years. Maybe we shall see, ... Because Eon has veto privileges over a heck of a lot. As they should. It's their baby. At the end of the day, it's their baby. I don't have an issue with that. I'm not taking umbrage with that at all. And we love them dearly for everything they've given us. But I've gotten the sense online on Twitter. I handle most of the Twitter account, as most people know. I've been getting a little bit of a vibe like that, like, oh man, this and that and this and that. And I'm reading this going like, I don't expect everybody to have read the contracts, that dictate who can say what when it comes to producing Bond content, but there's like basic knowledge maybe a few more people need to understand here before we start tossing ideas like that, and then be disappointed that they're not doing it.
Well, and specifically, Barbara Broccoli did an interview, I believe, at the end of 2019, before any of this stuff with Amazon came up, where she said, we're really not interested in spinoffs. We're really not interested in TV shows. We're mostly interested in doing a movie when we feel like it. Those weren't her words. That's my interpretation.
We don't want to get canceled here. Watch out, Bill.
That's right. That's my interpretation of what she said. But she made pretty clear she's not an enthusiast of spinoff shows and so forth. And so I mean, now can this be worked out? Yeah, probably. It's like I said, assuming this goes through, Amazon will have the power of the purse, which is a significant power, but it's not absolute power. So, the Amazon team, whoever that ends up being in terms of the specific people, they'll probably have to go back and forth between, them and Barbara Broccoli and just, kind of come up with, some kind of agreement. So we'll see. But we're not going to like suddenly have a flush of James Bond TV shows and a movie every 2 years.
I mean, like you said, it's going to really come down to the power of purse to have any sort of creative input, because it's like you said, Edgar, between a private conversation, it seems like 25 years ago when Jeff Bezos acquired the rights to make the Lord of the Rings, his TV series, but and it's still in pre-production phase right now, and it's for our listeners, it's a $1 billion production, and that's just the production cost. But on top of that, Bezos and his executives paid $250 million to the Tolkien family just to get the copyright, the IP property to adapt it. So that's a type of power, that's the type of cash purchase that Amazon would have to do to Eon to gain any sort of creative control, is what we're saying. Yeah, the power of purse, but that's the level of power of purse we're talking about.
I mean, essentially what we have is for a James Bond movie to go forward. Like I think I said this earlier. So like Danjak Eon does not finance its own movies. And they're never going to, because like once upon a time, like 60 some years ago, Albert R. Broccoli and his then partner Irving Allen actually tried that with a movie about I think it was called The Trials of Oscar Wilde, and it just bombed, and like but because they were involved in distributing it, it hit them in the pocketbooks big time. And so ever since, there's like once Broccoli and Harry Saltzman formed Eon and Danjak, there was no way they were ever going to try that again. And so Eon, is not going to finance things, but at the same time, Amazon can't just snap its fingers and say, make a James Bond movie.
Would be nice, but
right. So it's going to be just back and forth, and we'll see how it turns out. But I mean, the main advantage of this deal is like, okay, MGM hopefully will be divorced from all the financial stuff from the last few decades. But
Nightmare.
Yeah, nightmare is a very good word for it. Yes,
it has been. No, I think that word encapsulates the whole thing, Matt. I think that's the most beautiful word that can be used. Horrifically beautiful word that can be used, and that's. I think that the takeaway here, in my opinion, I think the takeaway here is twofold. On the one hand, thankfully, Eon still has their creative control clause, which I'm more than happy for them to keep. They give us good movies. And on the other hand, and this is the key, as we've been elaborating on, the financial stability. They don't have to go looking for partners left and right every few years to figure out who's going to finance this stupid movie, because they can't help themselves but make them for $300 million. Bless their hearts. Amazon's going to have the $300 million or however much Amazon is going to put in, because obviously sponsorships will, or yes, sponsorships, but the term is product placements, that'll help pay for the movies as well. But none of this bull crap of, well, we need Sony, we need Universal, we need them, we need them. It's okay. Jeff Bezos, he's your boy. He's got your back. It's fine. Saying what you will more morally or ethically about Jeff Bezos, and we don't have to get off on that tangent because it was brought up on Twitter a little bit. Not everybody was over the moon with in association with Amazon specifically. Fair enough. I'm not going to criticize the criticism. But hey, at least we have the money to make these stupid movies now. Like that's sort of my main takeaway.
Oh,
I mean,
absolutely.
Before there were no opportunities to expand. When you think about it, they could barely finance Quantum. Remember, it's Skyfall. Sorry, my mistake. Skyfall. They had so much trouble. They could barely finance the movie. That's why it was delayed, if I remember correctly. And now, I mean, the tank's full. The tank is no longer almost at E. It's full. Like the money's there.
Can you imagine when Barbara and Michael talk to whoever it is? I can't remember the name of the person responsible for Amazon Studios and Amazon Video, but can you imagine when that person gets the phone call from whoever represents Michael and Barbara and Michael? Oh, they're ready to make a new Bond movie. Get the card, get the credit card, get the credit card. It's like,
Yeah.
How do you think it's going to be like? It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. Ethics aside about how Amazon sometimes does its business. No, I know it's a major caveat. It's a big caveat. I know it's a big caveat, but I'm still happy.
So I mean, the balance sheet is very healthy. Is the best way to say it. It's extremely healthy.
Right. And No Time to Die situation is interesting because none of this nullifies Universal's obligation.
No.
I'm sure they're happy to make movie off of a Bond movie.
But is Universal only for No Time to Die, or is it like extended, or I don't know?
I think it's just for No Time to Die. I think it's a one-shot deal, and my guess is, like, again, assuming this gets regulatory approval, Amazon will eventually make it so that MGM doesn't have to rely on anybody else to release a movie.
I think. Go ahead.
I'll just say, so I think Universal's involvement is not going to go beyond No Time to Die. It's what, in terms of Bond films, at least that would be my guess. I
mean, I think there needs to be another, or I guess a third co-distributor, because, like I said, Amazon is only in 21 countries, and I guess it's another Edgar, like you always said, we'll get there when we get there.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. When you say Amazon's only 21 countries, or like there are only 21 countries in the world that can go to an Amazon something and buy stuff?
Yes.
Right. And what I'm saying is, I think Amazon will finance MGM's ability to release movies on its own without having to get partners like Universal and Annapurna and whatnot. I mean, I suspect United Artists Releasing will go away after this. Because again, that was kind of a jury rigged thing when, like MGM, the pauper, well, we can't exactly release our own movies, but if we link up with somebody, we can. And, but that's only in the North America at that. and then we have to go somebody else. That's what I say. When I talk about distribution, I'm not talking about Amazon's operations as an e-commerce site. I'm just talking about, I suspect,
of course,
MGM will get the money to like build up its own distribution operation.
Oh yeah,
and it's a shame for
I like the way
our,
you said that.
no, yeah, that's why Bill's on the show. I feel bad for Carey, because when you direct a Bond movie, you're on a first name basis. He's so overjoyed that United Artists, is somewhere on the poster is gonna. So when No Time to Die comes out, it'll obviously be a resounding success. And Carey comes back into the office. So what are we gonna do for Bond 26? Look, remember United Artists? We got a little bit of a problem. I'm out, and just Carey Fukunaga just walks out the door, and it's going to be a sad, sad day. But we will move on. We'll march on.
I mean, he's already busy making a Band of Brothers like show for Apple TV. Like, because I follow him on social media, and he's been posting a lot of production videos like he did for No Time to Die, and he's actually riding a Triumph motorcycle on set.
Nice.
Whoa.
I thought he was doing a remake of The Explorers.
Or he may do that too, but currently, right now, he's in England filming a Band of Brothers like World War II miniseries for Apple TV or Plus or whatever their streaming site is called that I don't have.
Well, I saw I'm a little bit late to the game. Oh, go ahead, Matt.
Where we all are pro Amazon Prime. Amazon Prime Video is our lord now. So
yeah, that's my worship to every Sunday.
Jeff, send that check at the JamesBondComplex@gmail.com, please. Thank you, Jeff.
That's
we
right.
just want to take a moment to thank our sponsors, Amazon Prime and Amazon Studios. May the Bezos be with you, my children.
Hey, Alexa, I saw a lot of pictures on social media that had like, "Hey Alexa, who's the next Bond girl?" My meeting.
Oh, we have a fifth co-host.
Oh yeah.
Oh, actually, that's actually my Alexa was talking. And then my Alexa actually legit.
You triggered that.
Yeah.
Alexa, I want to see Operation Kid Brothers. Start it.
That'll be on the show one of these days.
My God.
It's on Amazon Prime in the US because I'm guessing Amazon Prime is like leasing it from MGM.
It's also on YouTube.
Yeah, I know. I actually watched it twice. I watched the Mystery Science Theater 3000 version, and then I watched the full thing on Amazon Prime. It's like I'm a dedicated Bond fan.
Oh my God, you're
hardcore to the core.
Hardcore.
It's more than the prescribed amount of viewings, which is 0.
Yeah, I know. but at least you get to see Lois Maxwell, plays a Moneypenny like character, except she goes out in the field, has got a machine gun. She's going out on missions with the guys. So it's still not worth watching, but it's just a note. Okay. It's like Operation Kid Brother was ahead of the Bond series in terms of giving women action things to do.
That's right. Everybody's in that. Isn't Adolfo Celli in there? Isn't Daniela Bianchi in there?
Anthony Dawson. And
Connery,
Connery, A Connery, not D Connery, and Bernard Lee. Yeah, he's in there. But like Neil Connery, he's like a master hypnotist. Like the way it's portrayed, hypnotism's like a superpower.
Cool.
I don't think this is how hypnotism really works. But there you go.
Probably not. But I guess when you're a Connery, you do have superpowers.
There you go.
Are there any other details, salacious details, about this grandiose deal that was? I'm always tempted to say hammered. Again, needs to be approved by regulatory bodies, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But hey, if they let what's his face, Bob Iger and Bob Chapek off the hook by buying 20th Century Fox.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, really? You're gonna you said yes to those guys. You're gonna say
And you're
no to
gonna
these
say no
guys?
to, no to
this,
us. Yeah, exactly.
Really?
Mm.
You know, and yeah, I think it's more a matter of time, to be precise. But yeah, I mean, it would be ridiculous to refuse this deal when you approved that other one. Well, real quick, Bezos is actually stepping down here in the next couple of weeks as Amazon CEO because he wants to concentrate his time on his rocket company. It's like, he and Elon Musk want to be the new Hugo Drax. But
I don't know. Me and Matt, with a friend of the show, Mike Reyes, we read a book last week about a really powerful, smart industrialist, a real entrepreneur that built a rocket. It didn't go so well. I don't know. I don't like where this is headed.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I guess Amazon had its shareholders meeting, and so this was the last shareholders meeting where Bezos is the actual CEO, and he made some comments about, we want to like reimagine all this IP we've got that we're going to acquire with MGM. It's like, oh, great, we're going to have a new version of Operation Kid Brother. We're going to have a new
Call Me Buana, the reboot.
Call Me Buana. A reimagined Call Me Buana.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Gritty and real and modern.
Except for Bond, the Rocky movies, they perform very well, but they don't make billions of dollars.
No.
Same with RoboCop. RoboCop to me is ridiculous. The amount of the money they spent on the remake, and I was like, the original one is like people are getting shot with condoms filled with ketchup in them. Like it's a really cheap movie, and this is. Yeah, everyone's replaced. Like they show the interior of RoboCop. It's all CG. It looks cool, but I'm like, yeah, but your movie costs too much. It's not gonna make that.
We're Inspector Clouseau 4.0 because they've already done a couple of remakes of that.
I'll say that the last rumor I heard for that one, I'm actually interested. They want to do Inspector Clouseau meets like cartoon version of the Pink Panther, sort of like a mix between real world and fantasy world, kind of like Roger Rabbit. I'm like, oh, it's probably gonna be stupid and probably bad, but I love the cartoons with the Pink Panther, so I'm up for that. But Peter Sellers has been dead for how many years now, and 40. They're still trying.
Yes, 40 something.
They brought Grand Moff Tarkin back and Princess Leia back.
Well, remember they had Steve Martin as Inspector Clouseau, which was
2006 or so.
The son of Clouseau too, and
Roberto Benigni, I think, right?
Yeah, because with the Steve Martin movies, they got rid of Kato because that's not good. I mean, I like those Sellers and Inspector Clouseau movies, but it's like, there are like some really bad lines. Like,
I mean, it was a thing of its time.
That time is past. So there are things that you don't bring back, and that's one of them.
So when the Steve Martin movie came out, instead of having Kato, they just had a big, tall French guy as the sidekick, and just
it was Jean.
Yeah, they just eliminated that problem that way.
I didn't. I'm not up to stuff on my Pink Panther. I've seen the original because it's considered a classic, and I like it. It's a fun movie. I've never seen any of the sequels, and I've not seen the Steve Martin rebooted.
The only
just
one,
in the first one.
The only one I've seen completely is the remake with Steve Martin and parts of the trail of the Pink Panther, like the movie they made with cut scenes from another movie, and they built a narrative around it, and it's
Game of Death style.
That was weird. I saw that too. I was just gonna say, in terms of the originals, I'm not gonna repeat the line, but like at one point Clouseau refers to Kato in a blatantly racist way. And just like, no, this is not going to sell now. No, it's like, it's surprised it sold then, but just like, no.
Yeah, well, things have changed a little bit for the better, thankfully.
Yeah.
But let's get excited for that. Not Looney Tunes, but the hell am I talking about? Roger Rabbit version of Inspector Clouseau with, but that's just seems to me like, yes, the Pink Panther cartoon is cute, and Inspector Clouseau, when handled right, can be a funny character. But it just strikes me as one of those ideas where, like, the studio's like, well, we have this IP. Do we want to do anything with it? But how many people are going to pay to see this?
Yeah, but the thing is, it's going to be targeted for, like, the last one I feel was targeted for maybe 17-year-old kids that like what's the movie that Steve Martin, the Cheaper by the Dozen? It was more like a family picture. The new one, I feel like it's going to be like for kiddies. It's going to be really dumbed down, and
maybe.
It's an IP that people, they'll be able to sell lunch boxes with the Pink Panther on it on Amazon Prime. I mean, same with the RoboCop. If they bring back RoboCop, be ready for action figures and T-shirts all sold on Amazon. And that's not necessarily a bad thing for the IPs themselves, for fans, I guess.
What is the sort of IPs where you think toys would? And I would include 007 with that. I mean, remember back in the day that 007. I feel like we talked about this with
I
Bill
talk
before.
about that all the time. I bought Gilbert action mini figs that are about this tall. I bought a set.
But really make them cool and relatively affordable. I know action figures are, and I'm not referring to those insane, very well made, but insanely priced big cheap studios. I'm just talking about, an action figure for the kids to play with, like, slap a Bond logo on that thing, man, and then it's I can't imagine
like spin-offs and characters, sequels or whatever, but diversify the material, like doing like more games. But animation, I feel like it's for the franchise is something that they've definitely left off the table, and I can see. I don't know if guys are going to remember it. About now it's probably 10-15 years ago. I think for the Dark Knight they did a movie, but it was sort of a bunch of short animation about Batman, but it's done by a different team. They did that for the Animatrix too. The Matrix with called. Yeah, you had CGI. You had a different type of animation, anime, and with more American. Do the same thing with Bond. Bring a few like directors from Asia or other markets, or creators from different all walks of life, and tell a Bond story in your medium, and go nuts. And animation, I feel like something they could do and would be worth their time and be interesting. They're gonna have the money to back any crazy dream Barbara and Michael have in the middle of the night, and call Jeff Bezos and say, "Oh, we have this idea. Let's do this." And Jeff just gonna throw a check at them. It's like, okay.
Well, or Bezos says, like, "You want to make that? Okay, give me a James Bond movie in 2 years."
Hey,
it's like, you get to make your little thing, and you give me this big James Bond film, and like
give and take.
Yeah, give and take. Yeah.
But
it could. And go ahead, man.
Oh no, I'm sorry, I'm talking too much already. So go ahead.
No. You were on a roll there. What were you gonna say?
Oh, maybe we'll get what's her name? Stephanie, Rhythm Section 2. What's her name? Stephanie?
Blake Lively.
Oh, Blake Lively. Yeah. Oh yeah, we could Rhythm Section 2. Well,
I mean, I will say I really did enjoy Barbara's or Eon's other film prior to Rhythm Section, Film Stars Don't Die in Liverpool, starring Annette Bening. I thought that was actually a very well made film.
You're one of us. I
was about to say, so you're the guy who saw it.
Yes. It was genuinely actually really good. And I didn't realize it was actually based on a true story about
Gloria Graham. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know she was a real person.
No, I mean, it's like, to be honest, I mean, it probably is a good movie. It's just like, I don't even remember it even being available. I mean, I looked it up. I looked it up. I think like the maximum number of screens was like 145 in all of the US.
I saw it on my flight back from Norway.
Okay. Well, and they made an even more obscure movie called Nancy. I couldn't tell you what it's about. It has something to do with about a mentally disturbed young woman and something like this. It wasn't even
I was reading this week that I'm calling her Nomi. Lashana Lynch just finished filming something with that Barbara Broccoli produced. I don't know what it's called, but
oh yeah, she did. I don't know what it's called either. And I had to like look up her filmography to see what it was, then to confirm the news. And I was like, oh yeah, that's pretty cool, because like she's not gonna be in Captain Marvel 2, I guess. I mean, I guess it doesn't make sense for her to be in Captain Marvel. I mean, that's beside the point, but
by the way, for the record, the last movie I saw in the theater was The Rhythm Section.
Oh, good for you, sir.
Yeah.
I think that's like all of us actually.
Bill,
No,
if I will applaud you if pre-pandemic the last film you saw was an Team Eon movie. If you can just hold off, just hold off for October, and the first movie you see post-pandemic is No Time to Die, we will crown you the king of Team Eon. Team Eon. Anything else that strikes our fancy about the shenanigans that have been going on this week?
Well, I'll just kind of repeat from earlier. I think overall this is good news. I think there are still like some uncertainties, but like if this ends the whole soap opera with MGM being various stages of financial distress, I'm all for it. And it's like, yes, there are broader societal issues about, economic centralization, but like that's above my pay grade. And like you guys said, if they can approve, Disney buying 20th Century Fox, and like, then fine. I mean, it's like, give it a good close look, but like, I cannot imagine them rejecting this deal on any sort of rational basis.
And yeah, absolutely. And in fact, when if let's say worst case scenario, they do happen to reject it, Jeff Bezos just has to answer them, sir, you're saying you don't want future James Bond movies. And they go like, oh shit. Let it go flat.
Let me have another think on that.
Yeah, we'll get back to you. They come back 2 minutes later. It's good. Put it through.
It's all right. It's fine.
Yeah, I agree with everything that Bill said. He says everything that I think, but in better words. And I can't. But from my perspective, for my immediate future, I want Rocky IV director's cut on Amazon Prime.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, but it doesn't have the little. You said it won't have the little. What's the robot called again? I can't remember what it's called.
Robot? I don't know if that has a name.
Oh, it doesn't have a name.
Well, Paulie's robot doesn't. Hey, I just want to see more. I must break you. If he dies, he dies. Played by.
He dies.
Played by Vito kills Vance himself. Absolutely.
Hey, we have another detour. Rocky IV. So we got a yay from Bill, a yay from Jason. What about will you be the lone nay on the show, Matthew? Just a little bit of controversy. Come on, spice it up.
Come on, man. I was pouring champagne when I heard the news. I'm like, finally. I honestly, everything I've read, I'm like, yeah, but do you guys realize that they have money now? They don't have to like beg Sony to lend them a buck.
You have so good.
I can actually go ahead and make the bloody Jinx spin-off if you want to. You're not tied to. It's like being a gambler, but impaired. You're in a team. You're kind of like I don't know. What's a game that people play? Bridge. Bridge. Yeah.
You play. Heard about that recently too.
Build like a millionaire that wants to build a rocket. So you're playing a team and you're doing very well for yourself, but you drag on by this loser that's losing every time that he bets. That's the marriage that Eon has been stuck with since the early 80s. They've been
40 years. That's the same amount of time that Moses and his people were roaming the desert. Trying to get from Egypt to the promised land. So that's how long Bond fans have been tethered.
So this is a deal. It's a deal of biblical proportions. Is what
exactly. Yeah.
It's oh god, I like that. Your deal of biblical proportions.
I mean, we could say Michael Cimino's ghosts have been laid to rest in peace finally. After
Yes.
the sins he committed on our earth.
Yeah, there
Michael
you go.
Cimino can go to hell.
But the only things people say, oh, they're gonna make Bond woke, blah blah blah. I'm like, have you watched what they're doing on Amazon Prime? Just watch Google The Boys Whale and Google that and see if they have any problem with violence or any craziness that the Bond movies want to do. Jeff Bezos is gonna go take the call. Like, sure, yeah, you want them to blow up blah blah blah. Okay, yeah, sure. You want more blood? You got blood. It's not gonna be
I don't know about
an
more
issue.
blood.
You
but,
want Bond to be a sexist, misogynistic dinosaur? Yeah.
done. Like it's like Silva. Do you want more blood? Done anytime. Do you want him to be a sexist misogynist dinosaur? Done.
Yeah. I've been happy. It's only good news. My greatest fear was that somehow Disney would have its hands on MGM and struggle life. Like there was somebody who did an image of James Bond and it's sort of as just the lower part of his torso, and you see the Walter PPK on the side, you see the butter, and around the stretch there's like the Disney ears and the ad, and it's like, yeah, that's why I feel like Disney would have done to sort of neuter Bond and make him a PC character. They would have PC-fied him.
I think the
you know,
main. No, go ahead. Go.
I'm happy with Prime. Like I don't want to critique Disney. They have their own brand that they have every right to manage. But as a supporter of the IP of James Bond, I'm fine with Amazon Prime. I'm excited. Money.
Well, and personally, in my case, the notion if Disney had gotten a hold of it, it's like Disney has it has its hands full. Like, can they handle Bond on top of Star Wars, on top of Marvel, on top of remaking classic Disney cartoons? Like, it's like enough's enough.
Right.
That's an antitrust law, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, they own Aliens, Predator. They own Die Hard.
Oh God, you know what? There are probably executives at Disney have no idea what they own because they haven't had a chance to go through the 20th Century Fox catalog yet.
They still getting some of rid of the catalog that that's so 20th century had before the purchase. I mean, they released that X-Men spin-off that nobody saw, and I don't remember which movie. I think there's a movie with Ryan Reynolds coming out this summer that was was also 20th century production. That they don't know. They have so much they don't know what to do with the stuff they own.
Well, there's the movie we're a little bit interested in, The King's Man. That's never come out because
that's right.
They own that too.
Right. Yeah. That's supposed to be released as a 20th Century Pictures release, and it's been delayed a few times because of COVID. But when I say about stuff they have no idea they own, I'm thinking about, there's this very classic 40s movie called Gentleman's Agreement, which has to deal with anti-Semitism. It's a very big, serious film. There's this movie called 12 O'Clock High. It's it's a world
Gregory Peck.
Yeah. And a TV show that was done 15 years later. That's now in their catalog. It's like, hey Disney, you know anything about this 12 O'Clock High thing? What? We have that. Yeah, dude, you have it. It's in your
even you know what? Even stuff they own, they don't remember that they own. Like there was a 80s TV movie they did with what's his face, Scott Bakula. That I'm like, I remember seeing that in the 80s. I wanted to see it. I had a subscription for Disney Plus, and no, it's not there. Like all the TV movies they did in the 80s, not there at all. I'm like, why do you have that platform if you're not gonna put everything that you own on it? It's Why?
I have to
Yeah.
imagine. Well, further to Bill's point about they haven't even gone through the entire 20th Century Studios catalog, so they're not exactly. It's not exactly clear to them what they have. I have to imagine that when that purchase was made, when they bought what was 20th Century Fox, it was sort of, well, we have we have Die Hard, great. We have X-Men, great. We have Aliens,
Yeah.
great. Like that's what they bought. The Simpsons, obviously, it's Simpsons. Is
That's
the big
what
one.
they're thinking. Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
top of mind. But they're like, there's all these dozens and dozens, hell, hundreds of titles that they're picking up, and like, well, we got that, we got that.
I'm still waiting for the announcement of this would be for me. This would be an Edgar movie, Maya, the Disney-esque reimagining of the Alien Queen, how she's just misunderstood. She's actually good, but she's not really bad, and I'm waiting for that.
The
movie.
Cruella prequel spin-off.
Exactly.
Or a reimagining of 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, where Nemo's a good guy.
Yeah.
Nemo's a sweet guy. He's just misunderstood.
Yeah.
Exactly. I couldn't. It's funny. We're recording this, and that movie came out today. But I remember when they Cruella. I remember when they announced that. It just felt. Now I haven't seen the movie, so I don't know. But I remember when they announced that, and I was like, so the character that wants to kill dogs, she's the protagonist in this one.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
And
Okay.
I mean, I actually genuinely want to. I still have not seen it, but I actually genuinely want to see it because I have a crush on Emma Stone, for the record.
Well,
Yeah,
we
but-
all have a crush on Emma Stone, but I mean, it's
Jason,
she's made other
the
movies.
question is, who do you don't have a crush on?
That's a good point. That's a
That's
good
a
point. That's a good one.
Who do I
got a new
respect?
crush.
Who do I have a respect for if I don't have a crush on? That's a good question. Now,
You need to think long and hard about that.
The
Long and
the
hard.
Cruella
Mm.
spin-off. I'm like, yeah, she kills dog and wants to then turn them into it's a code, or I'm thinking about the Simpson that now Disney also owns a spoof where Mr. Burton wants to create a jacket made from the dog, the Simpsons dog's
Oh, really?
offspring. Yeah, it's musical. It's pretty funny, but I'm not gonna try and sing it because, but it definitely check it out. I actually I remember this French dub version because I watched My Simpson as a kid, mostly in French, and I'm like, I'm not gonna, no, I remember the lyrics. I'm not gonna sing them in French because but only two people on this stream will get it.
And you don't sing well, so I wouldn't understand it.
No,
either.
I sing horribly, and I'm still a bit under the weather and a little bit sick, so no singing tonight.
Okay. All right.
Is there anything else that we want to broach about this week's biblical events, earth-shattering? Why are you looking at your time? You know what
It's
time
not
it is.
my watch. I'm getting text from Sam White.
He's hacked your
he-
phone, hasn't he?
Yeah,
Your watch. I
well,
mean.
he hacked my phone and
he hacked my
watch.
Amazon. Wait a second, guys. He hacked my Amazon account. What the hell? Look at my orders. I didn't order this thing. Well, I'm getting some interesting memos on my Amazon order.
Are you now?
Yeah. Are you too as well?
I have. Well,
How about you, Bill? Are you
see.
getting anything from them White?
No, I am I think I am getting a text from Michael G. Wilson. I don't believe it. No, that's got to be a fraud. So I'm not even going to look at that message.
we got a DM on our Twitter account. New follower, M. Oh, you freaking kidding. Yeah, he got the Twitter account, guys. He got the Twitter account.
You got a
So,
Twitter account.
Yeah, he got the Twitter account. So.
Man, so did he ask the same question he asks us every time?
Well, I don't know. I threw my phone to the side. I haven't read the DM. Just give me a second here. Angry face, martini, 007 logo, hashtag no time to die. Where is he going with? Oh, do you have people everywhere?
Everywhere.
Smiley face, winking face, poop emoji. I don't think he knows how to use Twitter.
Oh
Sorry.
man.
We do have
Crazy
people
old man.
everywhere. We do have people everywhere. Yeah, Matt, do you want to give this one a go?
Oh yes, I have
Or do
my card. I can actually read from our business cards that
All
I made
right.
a couple of years ago, and is probably no longer up to date. Yeah, from everything to film and from filming to film and everything in between. We are on Facebook, the James Bond Complex, on the Twitter, the Bond Complex, on the Instagram, the James Bond Complex. We also have our own website, thejamesbondcomplex.com. We
right.
are hosted by Anchor.fm, a great service that is completely free for us and free for you, obviously. We would appreciate if you gave us not one, not two, not three, not four, but five glowing 5-star review on
That's
the
cinco for our
Apple
Spanish-speaking listeners.
That's right.
on the Apple Podcasts or any platform where you can give us a review or rating. We're also on YouTube at the James Bond Complex. I remember, that's something I need to add in the next version of this card because we didn't have a YouTube account or
We didn't.
use
We've
them.
evolved since then. Life finds a way.
Yeah, life finds a way. Yeah, that's pretty much it. At your end, those more the Twitter. I handle more the Instagram, but I can pop in the Twitter and he can pop on the Instagram.
You tweeted a couple things this week. You tweeted a couple things
I've
this week.
surprised myself. I'm like I'm retraining myself. I actually reactivated my personal account, but I don't want to plug it on the show. I'm mostly doing random commenting about stuff that I watch. I've been watching a lot of Star Trek lately, so
Yeah, you have.
yeah, I had fun time with an episode with Beverly Crusher doing some fine karate kicking, and I had fun with that. How about you, other gents, Bill and Jason? Where can you be found, if you please?
You guys can find me on the interweb at Instagram and my handle JASXON88, where you can find pictures and posts regarding that's related to Fleming film and everything in between.
The Spy Command blog can be found at hmssweblog.wordpress.com, and I'm on Twitter at the Spy Command.
It's missing a little ER at the end there.
Yes,
a little ER at the end of the Spy Commander.
Well, no, when I do a post, it says the Spy Commander, but the blog is just called the Spy Command.
Feels so good. Feels so good.
Because I realized when I renamed it the Spy Command, I decided, well, if it's Spy Command, I must be the Spy Commander. So I changed it. So when I logged off, so every time I did a post, it said by the Spy Commander. So
logic dictates if you are the one with the Twitter handle, the Spy Command, and that I believe de facto makes you the Spy Commander. I don't think that's negotiable. No, it's always a treat shooting the breeze with you on Twitter. Very timely tweets, and whether it's archival commentary about older pop culture material or breaking news related to the movie business, often Bond, but not always. It's always a pleasure following your tweets.
Well,
and of course, thank you for being on the show once again. You are quickly becoming one of the guests we've had the most often.
Yeah, actually.
I don't know if you are the one we've had the most often, but you're getting there anyways.
If you're not, you're up there. I don't have a tally of everyone, but you're up there.
I'm always happy to be invited and always have a great time. So thanks, guys.
Oh, no worries. As I last recall, because we recorded Casino Royale not too long ago, you said you were demonstrating interest for Man with a Golden Gun. Were you not?
Well, yeah, I read it a couple of years ago, but I could if you need somebody to for a novel in the interim, I mean, because I remember you had like 7 or 8 people lined up, but once you run out of those, I'm flexible.
We'll talk.
Okay.
Wink, wink.
Yeah.
We'll talk. So on that note, just as James Bond always returns, and he has a new platform, so too with the James Bond complex. So sur ce, toujours un plaisir. Merci. À la prochaine. Hasta la próxima. Ciao belli.
Au revoir.
들어줘서 감사합니다. 안녕히 계세요.
Alexa, show me a James Bond film.